Today we're diving deep into a topic that has fascinated and mystified people for centuries, the story of 200 angels who rebelled against God to take beautiful human wives, leading to a forbidden union and the creation of a hybrid race of giants. While this story is mentioned briefly in the Bible, it's detailed extensively in the Book of Enoch. It's a tale filled with forbidden knowledge, divine punishment, and chaos. Today we'll be exploring the Watchers, their wives, and their children, the Nephilim. I will give some more context about the Book of Enoch at the end of the video. The Watchers were a group of angels tasked with watching over humanity. We first hear about them in Genesis 6 verses 1 to 2, which says, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose." The phrasing here, "they married any of them they chose," raises an interesting question. Did the women or their families have any choice in the matter? It suggests that the Watchers made the decision without any consent, taking these women as wives. It goes on to say in Genesis 6 verse 4, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." The Bible doesn't say much more on the matter, so this is where we need to go to the Book of Enoch to get the details of the story. According to the Book of Enoch, 200 angels, led by Semjaza, descended from heaven to claim their brides. Semjaza, fearing that the other angels might abandon the plan and leave him to face the consequences alone, convinced them to make an unbreakable oath on Mount Hermon, the place of their descent. Mount Hermon is located in the modern-day border region of Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. What was their oath? To take human women for their carnal desires and pleasure regardless of the consequences. In some warped way, this proves that human women are the most beautiful things in creation. So ladies, if angels can fall for your beauty, how much more will men? Use your power wisely. After descending to earth and taking their pick of beautiful women for wives, the Watchers also brought forbidden knowledge to humanity. First, they focused on their wives. Many, if not all of the Watchers taught their wives witchcraft, including charms and enchantments, knowledge which may have had the potential for both healing and harm. After that, they turned their attention to the rest of humanity. Some of the knowledge given to humanity seems very innocent and even helpful, such as makeup to enhance beauty, jewelry, precious stones, and ornaments, which may have been tied to commerce and trade, the knowledge of roots and plants, which may have contributed to medicine, and astronomy and meteorology, including the study of the clouds, sun, moon, and constellations, possibly related to farming and traveling. However, and very curiously, in the context of the Book of Enoch, this was considered forbidden knowledge for early humans. Could it be that these teachings, though seemingly beneficial, ultimately fueled vanity, pride, lust, sin, violence, and a moral downfall? And then there are parts of this knowledge that were clearly dangerous and corruptive. Their leader Semjaza taught witchcraft and sorcery, including enchantments. Armoros expanded on this by teaching the resolving of enchantments, which simply means how to break them. Barakijal taught humans the study of astrology and its link to signs, season, and fate. But the angel Azazel committed the greatest sin of all. He taught mankind the art of warfare, showing them how to make weapons and armor, including swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. This knowledge led to violence and destruction, contributing directly to the moral decay of humanity and would be the reason for God's wrath on the Watchers. Eventually, the angels and their wives had offspring, but these were no ordinary children. They were demigods, and they were called the Nephilim. The Bible in Genesis 6 verse 4 states, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." It seems that the Bible doesn't elaborate on who these men were, perhaps because they were already famous at the time the text was written, and the audience was expected to know them. Unfortunately, much of this knowledge has been lost to time. The Book of Enoch, however, gives us more detail, describing the Nephilim as giants. Some speculate that these giants may have been ancient figures like Gilgamesh or even Greek gods, but the truth is that we may never know for sure. What we do know is that, like the Nephilim, these characters are referred to as heroes, though their actions were far from heroic, often bordering on villainous. The Book of Enoch goes on to describe how these towering giants consumed everything in their path. When the earth could no longer sustain their hunger, they turned to consuming not just animals but humans, and even each other. This might explain why so many folktales throughout history involve giants eating humans. Coincidence? I don't think so. Their violence and corruption filled the earth, causing unimaginable destruction. The archangels Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel witnessed the bloodshed and lawlessness on earth, brought about by the Watchers and their children, the Nephilim. These four archangels brought the Watchers' crimes before God, specifically highlighting the sins of Azazel, who had taught humans the art of warfare, and Semjaza, who had led the Watchers in their rebellion and their desire to experience the pleasure of human women. In response, God decreed that the Watchers would face severe punishment, and the earth would be cleansed by a great flood, which would simultaneously deal with the persons corrupted by the Watchers and the Nephilim. God instructed Enoch to deliver the sentence to the Watchers, and Enoch informed them of their fate. Their sentence was as follows. The archangel Raphael would bind Azazel hand and foot, cast him into darkness in the desert of Dudiel, bury him under jagged rocks, and leave him there, cut off from light, until the day of judgment, when he would be cast into the abyss of fire. The archangel Michael would imprison Semjaza and the other Watchers for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth. After that time, they would face the final judgment and also be cast into the abyss of fire. The archangel Gabriel would cause their children, the Nephilim, to turn on each other and perish in battle. The Watchers, dismayed with their harsh sentence, pleaded with Enoch to intercede on their behalf, and though Enoch did as they asked, their pleas were ultimately denied. Their fate was sealed. At the same time, God instructed the archangel Uriel to warn Noah of the coming great flood, which would wipe out the corruption on earth. Noah and his family would be preserved to restore humanity after the flood. It appears that this event is prior to the one in the Bible where God himself warns Noah of the flood and gives him instructions on how to build the ark, because this one happened while Enoch was still on the earth, whereas the account in the Bible happened after he was taken by God. Although many of the Nephilim perished in battle as the archangel Gabriel turned them against each other, not all of them were destroyed. It is believed that many of those who survived the conflicts were ultimately wiped out by the great flood sent by God to cleanse the earth. But even though their bodies died, the Book of Enoch tells us that they became wandering evil spirits on the earth, tormenting humanity with mischief and suffering. Interestingly, the Bible suggests that the Nephilim were present not only before the flood but after as well. In Genesis 6 verse 4 it states, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward." This has led to various interpretations. Some speculate that a remnant of the Nephilim may have survived the flood, though the Bible doesn't provide details on how. Another theory is that there was a second incursion, a later event where fallen angels once again had children with human women, leading to the reappearance of the Nephilim. Still, others believe that the term Nephilim could refer to later giant-like warriors who carried on their legacy in a symbolic way. While we may never know the exact answer, the presence of Nephilim both before and after the flood remains a mystery in biblical history. As for the wives of the Watchers, the Book of Enoch makes an intriguing mention of them becoming sirens. There's some debate about whether these sirens were the mermaid-like creatures of later folklore or the bird-like beings more akin to those found in Greek mythology. While the text does not provide a detailed description, the bird-like sirens of Greek mythology seem more likely, as they were often depicted as dangerous creatures whose beautiful songs lured men to their doom, an echo of the original allure that led to the Watchers' downfall. Now, you might be wondering, where did these detailed stories come from? Much of what we know about the Watchers and the Nephilim comes from the Book of Enoch. While it's not part of the biblical canon, it did influence early Christian thought and is even referenced in the New Testament, particularly in Jude and possibly in 2 Peter. It is believed to be written by Enoch, who was the seventh in line from Adam and a descendant of Seth. He was also the great-grandfather of Noah. The Bible says he was one of only 2 people who never died. Some people will say it's 3 people who never died, but we are not counting Melchizedek. I will do a video on that in the future. Genesis 5 verse 24 states, "Enoch walked faithfully with God, then he was no more because God took him away." This is interpreted as him being taken alive into heaven. So, why isn't the Book of Enoch part of the Bible? There are several reasons why it was left out of the biblical canon. One reason is its complex and mystical content. The book deals with themes like fallen angels, forbidden knowledge, and cosmic judgment, which may have been considered too speculative or controversial by early religious leaders. Additionally, some of the ideas in Enoch, like the emphasis on secret knowledge and cosmic battles, were later associated with Gnosticism, a movement that the early church rejected as heretical. Another factor was the ongoing debates over the authenticity of the text. While the Book of Enoch was influential in some Jewish and Christian traditions, it was not universally accepted as divinely inspired. This uncertainty likely contributed to its exclusion when the Bible canon was being finalized. Despite this, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserved the Book of Enoch as part of their biblical tradition, and it was rediscovered in the Nag Hammadi collection in 1945. These texts provided valuable insights into early religious thought, but while the Book of Enoch is not accepted by all traditions, it offers a fascinating look into the Watchers, the Nephilim, and their impact on the world. We hope that you enjoyed this video on the Watchers, their wives and their children the Nephilim. Don't forget to like and subscribe.